Hello Saberians, right, we have the KR Sabers Spectre 5. I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit. This is the first hilt I've designed and engineered at KR Sabers. So it's the first one to come out under the KR Sabers brand. And this has been an interesting hilt. I designed and did all the engineering for it. Roy from Wonawonga checked all the scaling for us to make sure it was one-to-one accurate, using all the right features. And Christian Cruz, you know I love Christian, he has designed this amazing box for the Spectre 5, and he's been doing a lot of our box work at KR Sabers recently, and it's turned out awesome. Thank you very much, Christian. So let's have a look what you get in the box. If I can get it out. Shake, 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 shake. Right. Foam. So you get a load of baggies. So we'll pull all these out. Just about. And what I'll do is I'll walk you through all the baggies. And you might be thinking, well, that's a lot of parts. And in the grand scheme of things, no, it isn't. But the hilt isn't fully assembled, because if you want to weather it, it's best to come like this, so the person who's weathering it doesn't have to completely disassemble all of the parts you put into it. They can do this bit first, and then they can assemble it afterwards. And then you've got a blade holder extension piece here. As you might know, the Spectre 5 hilt design has a very shallow emitter, so this helps hold your blade in place. And then we have the hilt itself wrapped nicely in some black tissue paper. So let's get rid of the box. Let's make some space. Right, let's unwrap this. I will occasionally pop up my head to check on my phone, because recently it's just started stopping filming just during the middle of the video for no reason. And I made sure the memory is clear, and so I don't know what it is. I've restarted it, and here we go. So you may already notice straight away the hilt. That's not right, that's not in the right position, and that's not in the right position, and that's fine. Everything I designed on here can be clocked. It's all fixable with no problems whatsoever. So we take into account any manufacturing potential errors, such as threads, which are, if you ask a machine shop to machine a thread that is consistent from every single hilt batch to every single, say, emitter to pommel match, and to get the positioning just right, you're giving them a lot of hard work to do. And then as threads wear out or bed in a little bit, the clocking won't be the same. So you never ever rely on threads to get replicated points. You want it to be adjustable, so you can do it yourself. I hope that makes sense. If you're relying on threads to clock something just purely on one type of thread, you're not engineering your hilts right. So there's a little tip for you. Okay, so we can see that it's missing a bit here, it's missing some bits here. This isn't the right place, this isn't the right place, hasn't got its D-ring, hasn't got 2 screws in it, which is fine. They are all in the baggies that come with the hilt. So first of all, we've got 4 additional grub screws that replace the ones in the emitter. I'll walk you through that as to why those are there in a moment. We've got 2 little screws here in this baggie that go into the pommel position and help hold it in the right place. I'll walk you through that as well. We've got the clamp card. Funnily enough, we know where the real clamp card came for the original prop. We know where it came from, funnily enough, and it came from KR Sabers, so we had a good starting point for the hilt design. We knew that it was our clamp card. We've got 2 discs here, which is, you're going, why? Why have you got 2 little discs? They fit in this pocket down here. Why have you done this? So, still recording, good. Cal had noticed on the prop that the base of this pocket, the bottom of this pocket, had like a silver finish to it. and we couldn't decide whether it was weathering, whether it was the lighting, whether it's the camera. So we gave this option where you could put plates down there and choose how you want it, therefore you can't be wrong. And whatever you do when you get the hilt, if you're going to insert your chassis, make sure you follow my steps first, or Cal's steps when he does his video. Basically I'll be going over everything that he's covering anyway. I just like doing these videos. Because when you come to put your chassis in and you haven't put one of these plates in, those brass rods, the thread of it will go too far into the ID of the hilt and it will block your chassis being inserted into it. So you have to use one of these plates. Okay, cool. So even if you're still having a black bottom pocket, use the black plate. We have got the belt loop, which you do not have to bend and manipulate yourself. It'll come, well, it is very easy to assemble into the pommel. You don't have to bend the steel, don't worry about it. It will fit in nice and easy. And it's got two little sleeves, which are details that a lot of other companies haven't noted, haven't spotted, or not included in their design, whether it's lack of attention, not bothered, or whatever it is. But it's something that we saw on the prop and have captured. Okay, then you've got a 3M sticky back sheet to stick everything onto the hilt that you need to. We'll deal with that in a moment. You've got, how many have you got? 5 of these long black rods that fit into these pockets at the back using the 3M tape. You've got 10 of these shorter ones, and they do the exact same thing. You use the panels on here of the 3M tape and you stick them into place here, all along the base near the pommel. Those will fit into place nicely. You've got 2 more very odd shaped little panels to put into place with your 3M tape. These 2 panels fit into this position here by my fingernail and this position here, and I'll walk you through that as well. And a little tip on that one, and you've got this baggie here that looks like, initially you might think, oh, that's magnets. It's not magnets. I don't put magnets on my hilts. I don't like magnets on hilts. These are little brass pieces that again can have, you can use the 3M taped little bits that are designed for them to insert them into position down here, into those 2 positions. Come on camera, focus. There we go. Into those 2 positions down there. Alright, so let's talk about clocking at first. Okay, so this, if you've used or purchased or held the Jimmy Saber Junk Saber Bay Survivor, this uses my same clocking mechanism as the JSJ Survivor, which is nice and efficient, nice and easy. So you can unscrew, let's unscrew that hilt there, the emitter there at that point, and pull this off. So this whole unit unthreads like so. Okay, and I will be showing you this twice, this approach twice during this video, because I will also show you how to insert your chassis. Okay, right. This bronze piece here has an O-ring in here. Make sure you keep the O-ring in there. This is part of the clocking mechanism. Okay, so it runs on the same thread. And what you do is you thread in your emitter neck piece into the main body. Now I kind of take it all the way in, and then I back out again. So there we go. And what I'm going to do that, and then what you can do is rotate the bronze piece down and thread it down to then lock in your emitter, just like that. I've overclocked it, so let's do that again. Can be a bit fiddly, but it's worth doing it right. There we go, I think that's right. There we go. And that's nice and solid now. Awesome, so that was nice and easy. That's how simple it is to clock your emitter piece. Dead easy. As to the pommel, shall we do a bit of pommel assembly whilst we're here? So you might find the napkin holder part rotates a little bit, that's fine. That's not a problem. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put that to the side for the moment. You have got your belt loop and the two screws that hold the that fit into this napkin holder area to help hold it in place. You've also got a crosshead screw down the bottom there. So what am I doing? You will need a screwdriver with a crosshead. Now this is a screwdriver I've had for probably a decade and a half. Seen me well. Okay, and you'll need an Allen key for these screws here. I think this might be the right size, he says. I'm going to unscrew my pommel assembly like so, because you'll need to fit your belt loop, your D-ring, whatever you want to call it. And this is the great thing, if you don't want the belt loop, you don't have to fit it. I know some people don't like it wrestling around. That is absolutely fine, but I'm going to show you how to fit it. Okay, we're still recording, that's good. So pull the two sleeves, pull them out, and keep them out. Like so. So it fits like that. I'm not sure if you can see that. Let's come a bit closer. So there we go, that's in that position there. I grab the main pommel, slide that down. You'll meet a little bit of resistance, but just keep on going. And then that's quite a nice firm fit into place there. And then let us put the bottom of the pommel in position. Then you've got to get your screw in place. Try not to drop things during the assembly. I'm also trying to do this in a way that you guys can see it, which kind of complicates things, but here we go. Now I'm not going to do that up super tight, I'm just going to do it up to a point where it bites and then back off a tiny amount so that this can still rotate around. And then I'm going to get my two screws out of the baggie, if I can open up the baggie. I'm hoping the sound isn't too distorted. I have got my 3D printer going right next to me. Right, there we go. Let's make sure we've got the right Allen key size. We certainly do. Okay, so when I thread in my pommel, alright, grab onto the main body that actually threads onto the hilt. Make sure that's nice and tight. And then rotate back off the napkin holder until you get it in the right position, like so. I'm going to say that's what I'm comfortable with right there. And then I am going to put in my two screws, which will help clamp the position of the napkin holder onto the main body as I remove the pommel from the hilt. And when you do this, you might find that this loosens up a little bit, so you can also change the tension that's on the D-ring to either make sure it can move freely or decrease the wrestling. It's entirely up to you. So I'm going to flip that up there. I'm going to remove my pommel now, grabbing onto the main body, knowing that I've clocked it correctly. So I'm trying not to rotate the napkin holder around the main body, and then I'm going to put a screwdriver in there and really tighten down that screw in the center without rounding off the threads or the head. And then I'm going to double check that my threading position for the pommel is just right without chucking my pommel across my desk. Look at that. And there we have a fully clocked FIVE hilt. Okay, awesome. We're making tracks. Now, let me walk you through the really simple thing first. These additional grub screws. Okay, so these grub screws in the emitter that come with, they're the right size, they're accurate as well in terms of their diameter. They're not countersink screws, those aren't accurate. These are grub screws. You can remove them by unthreading them, and they also hold down the blade plug or your blade. I'm going to show you the size difference, the length difference between these two grub screws. There we go, actually just get one. So you can see one of the grub screws is longer than the other. With the short grub screws, you can back them out to be as far in or as far out as you want them to be. So I'm going to back them all out for the moment, so they replicate the positions that we saw on the hilt in those lovely photos. And then you can also remove your blade plug at that point. So at the moment I've got them just sitting sub flush. Okay, 3 of them. And then what you can do is entirely up to you. This is the thing, you've got the options to do what you want. You can use the longer grub screw to be the single point of blade retention / blade plug retention. And the reason we gave you that option to do all this is because the longer grub screws sit almost in position depth wise on the shields, but they actually stick out just a little bit more than you would expect them to. So you can have 3 of them accurate depths, and then this one sticks out a little bit more. When I say it sticks out a little bit more, it's barely sticking out. It's almost exactly right. But you've got the options to choose how deep you want your grub screws to sit and how it looks, or however many you want to actually clamp on to your blade plug / your blade. So that's nice and easy, really nice and easy. And no matter what, if you remove these 4 grub screws, these shields are nicely secured through mechanical doings. They're not glued on, they're not 3M taped on. I came up with a method that allows the shields to be really rigid on there, so I can show you. Right, and I promise you it's not sticky tape, it's not glue, it's just good old mechanical engineering. Okay, if for any reason you find they do loosen up over time, you swing it, you hit it accidentally, you can put your same Allen key down here, tighten it up a little bit, and that will retain your shields nicely. So there we have it. The shields are on there, solid as a rock. You can't budge them unless you really force them to. Okay, so that's nice and easy. The grub screws there, I hope I've explained that well enough. It just gives you more options. You can do what you like with your hilt. Again, I don't tell you how to play with your toys. I just give you more options on how you like to play with your toys. Okay, and we're just going to drop that blade plug back down there, and I'm just going to pinch up one of these so it doesn't go flying everywhere. Or do I want to show you? Actually, I do want to show you. Haha! Blade extension. This is a 7/8 inch blade. Okay, and the extension just threads into place. so it still uses the same grub screws. I'll loosen up my cocking there. Let's tighten that down a bit further. There we go. There we go. So you can still use the same grub screws. There's no additional grub screws, no hideous one in the center that isn't accurate. We try to reuse the exact same grub screws that you can see on the prop to make it as close to the original deal as possible. And then you can unthread your blade extension holder. Still out to the side, and you can put your blade plug back in and down into any position. You can rotate it round so it doesn't have to be in any position you don't want it to be in, and then you can pinch it up with one or all of the grub screws. Entirely up to you. Cool. Alright, I'm going to put that grub screw back in there. Okay, right. Let's go over the plates and how you unscrew your brass pins. Am I still recording? I'm still recording. Good, good. What I do for these things, I don't want to damage anything. I've got my pair of Leatherman pliers here, and I just wrap a load of electrical tape around the fronts of them so they're not going to grab and scratch anything. These aren't like super tight in here, so you can just unthread them really quick. I will say, as much as putting tape around the front of them, they don't grip as well. So you've got to be careful when you do this. Don't damage your hilt. Take your time. If you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. Get your installer to do it. If you're getting it installed, they'll know what to do. So it's quite a long thread. There we go. Unfortunately, the electrical tape doesn't quite grab it as well as you want it to, but just keep on turning it. Eventually the pin will thread all the way out. And there we have one of the brass pins. Tiny little things, don't lose them. And then once you've got both of them out, you put down one of these brass plates, one of these black or silver plates into that hole, and then thread these brass pins back up to secure it down using the exact opposite method of what I was just doing there. There are other ways of doing it. Whatever you can grip onto it that will not scratch your hilt or damage your hilt is down to you, but this is what I do, and it's just simple, easy and quick and cheap. So that's nice and easy. What else have I got to go through? Graflex clamp card, or the clamp card I should say, will just slide in there. It's a friction fit. It might be a bit tight. If you're finding it's a bit tight, do this at your discretion. Don't damage it, don't over sand it, but just take a bit off, file a bit off, okay, off the PCBs, and see if it slides down a little bit easier. Do whatever you need to. Okay, when it comes to putting these brass panels in this baggie that fit in this slot here and this slot here, you might find they're too tight to do it straight away, and equally you might find that those two random little black panels, these ones here that are oddly shaped, that fit in this position here and this position here, you might find those are difficult to get into place straight away off the bat as soon as you get the hilt. So what you need to do, get a flathead screwdriver, loosen off this screw here and this screw here. Just have to loosen them off so that whole control box is a little bit loose. This helps loosen up the whole shield thing here. And then if I can get into the baggie again. Okay, and don't do this over your bed or over your carpet. You've heard me say it before in other videos. Do it over a nice surface where if you drop it you can find it easily. There you go. And then once you've got all of those panels using 3M tape, you can use super glue if you want to, but I really recommend just using the 3M tape. It's going to be a lot easier to remove them with the 3M tape if you ever have to do that rather than super glue. But once you've got all of your panels into place and you're happy with that, okay, what you do then, I don't want to lose it, but I think it's just going to be stuck onto the hilt now. It's like trapped. It's well fitted. Okay, that belongs there now, that's fine. Once you've done all of those panels there, do those screws back up, okay? One thing I didn't explain to you, which hopefully you watch the video through properly first before you do anything and you have a bit of sense about it, is you do the Graflex clamp card, this thing here, inserting that into here at the last point of assembly, the last finishing touch. There's no need to do it as soon as you get the hilt before you've put any of these panels into place, otherwise you might struggle to get those little tiny random shaped black panels in, or the brass ones that fit into these slots down here. But guys, use your 3M tape, don't rely on friction, you don't want to lose them, and do this over a nice surface where you can collect any of your parts if they happen to fall off during your assembly, okay? Not over your bed, not over your carpet, on a nice surface. Okay, right, so I'm going to put this all to the side for the moment, and I'm going to blue Peter this thing. I'm not sure if everybody's going to understand my reference, but anybody British might. Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, I've secured all of my glossy black panels, and they are glossy on the prop, onto my nice anodized finish, which again it's the same finish that you see on the prop. Glossy panels onto a nice anodized finish, and you can see I put my brass plates into position. Pommel was clocked. I've got a black plate down the bottom of the pocket there where those brass pins sit. My emitter is currently separated because I'm going to walk you through something when it comes to getting your chassis and your first install into this hilt. Here's my one. This is my own design for my own use. It's a crystal chamber OLED Profi V2, thin neck PCB set, spring-loaded battery tabs, 28mm speaker, stock short pin emitter PCB there. So when you first get the hilt, okay, one thing I'd recommend you do, remove your emitter. Unfortunately, if you've clocked it already, you're going to have to remove it again and reclock it, but as I've shown you, it doesn't take that long. There's a little grub screw in the bottom of the thread here. Just back that out a little bit and remove any blade plugs or blades or anything from your emitter, so you want to get past that, like so. This is your little top hat that makes connection with your chassis. This remains static in your emitter piece. Drop that into position, make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom and your pins are exposed like so. Excuse me. Tighten up your grub screw. Remember, you're clamping onto print, so no need to go absolutely berserk with it, but you want to make sure it's sub-flush to the threads that it's sitting on. Do excuse me whilst I take a drink. A lot of people say, why don't you edit your videos? I can't be bothered. It's another bit of software that I have no interest in learning on how to do or how to use. And this is why my videos might come across quite genuine. I fluff my words occasionally, or a lot, and I make mistakes and you get to see it all. I'd rather do it that way. I'm not perfect. Right, so I've slid my chassis in and I've got really good engagement on those switches, and I'll walk you through this actually. I was debating whether I was going to, and I think I will. The dial piece, really nice and simple thing to use, but yeah, I've got nice engagement on that switch, nice engagement on that switch, and I've got a nice center engagement on the middle switch as well. So then what I do, because you don't want to thread this down too far, okay, is I thread my whole emitter into my hilt, and I can feel the springs already touching, okay, and I don't want to go too far, because if I go too far, yeah, see, I can feel the resistance now. I still want to get the clocking right, so now what I'm doing is I'm holding down the emitter as I turn my bronze piece, just like JSJ Survivor. Then I turn the whole thing until I get it clocked into the right position, like so. May have overclocked it. Let me back it back out a little bit. Turn the bronze piece around a little bit. You can just unthread your emitter if you need to. But then you can't see where your thing is. I thought I had it, I knew where it was, and okay, it's quite far off. Can be a bit fiddly. Oh, I think I've got it. There we go, it's in position. Cool, right. So, I'm happy with that. Set up my chassis, lovely. Let's take out my chassis, power it up, 18650 removable battery. Flick my hand quickly. Okie dokie. So, I forgot which side does what on the dial switch, so forgive me if I suddenly skip a sound font.
Sabine Wren.
Let's go back to Sabine, and then okay, so I made pushing my dial to my left is my power button, and then pushing my dial to the right is my aux button, and the center button as well is an aux as well. Hu Yang.
Ezra.
That's a Loaf and Found Hilt coming soon to KR Sabers.
Balin Skull.
Balin Skull coming soon.
Shinhati
coming soon.
Marok.
Marok, that's coming soon as well. There we go. Lovely. And that's an installed Spectre 5. One thing I was going to go over with you is your dial. I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's unscrewed and unthreaded, in the hope that nobody copies my engineering. The silver outer ring unthreads as it's like a plunger housing. The factory kind of send these semi-tight, but not really. What I'd recommend is you tighten them up yourselves as well. So I'm going to unscrew mine. I'm going to leave the dial in the exact position it's in the hilt to not disturb it. Okay, just like that. Am I still recording? Still recording. Good show. Stay. This uses my the JSJ self-tightening method. Okay, so if you were to hold the back of the plunger in place and friction grip the center button, you can thread it down further into the centerpiece, so then it sits sub-flush. If you find that that is too hard to push, and even though it replicates what's on the hilt, you're struggling to actually push the button, you can unthread it a little bit by holding it down and unscrewing it with friction. Simple as that. Okay, sometimes you can push the button all the way down and rotate the back a bit, but I would just use a bit of friction. And sometimes if you're not getting enough friction from your thumb or your finger, you can always just use a bit of double-sided tape on your thumb or your finger to help get that extra bit of grip. And so there we go. I hold down the dial into position, find the threads, and gently thread the centerpiece back down. It's easier to keep the red toggle in place so you don't lose the spring in there that was custom made for this. And there we have it. Okay, I can't tighten that down any further. Nice. I like it. So there we have it. That's a really loud hilt. What I am going to do is, on my one, I'm going to secure these little, let's not talk over the blade, I'm going to secure these little sleeves into place with a dab of glue. That's all I'm going to do to make sure those don't vibrate around, because this is a very loud saber. The pommel is very loud. I hope that comes across well on camera, but yeah, really cool. I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I hope this video comes across well and clear and you can understand how to do everything. When it comes to doing these panels and that little panel here that's down here and the brass panels that fit into these two slots, and using this 3M tape, take your time, get it right, clean surfaces, and the great thing is, if you mess up, rolls of 3M tape, miles and miles of stuff, are a few quid, and you can custom cut your own ones with a good pair of scissors. Nice and easy. Alright, anything else I've got to go through? Not yet. I got these early, naturally. I'm really hoping to show off the shin very soon and the baleen, but we'll see what happens, which one comes first. Alright, thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.